Jeremy Peyton, how are you doing, bud?
Man, I'm doing all right.
Welcome to the Texas Tailgate podcast, right here in the Smith Music offices. How are you enjoying this Saturday in the stockyards?
Well, we watched the Longhorns.
Yeah, twice a day.
I've seen the Longhorns before. Watched the Longhorns. Almost got to ride the pony, but I was too tall.
Yeah. There's a weight limit too, so.
I think I was good on the weight limit. I mean, she didn't say that. She told me that I was too tall for this ride, so I'm gonna go with that one.
Yeah. I'm not insulting your weight at all. It's just,
I'm just saying.
You're not a child.
I'm not a child anymore, even though I've been called one
a few times.
Yeah.
Well, man, you're on. You come on. We're wanting to talk about new music coming out pretty soon. We're looking at that sometime in the next year, and and then we got to talk about the things that have come out. I know you've been on the podcast when we were at the lake house, and we talked a little bit, but very distracting environment for really talking. Really,
right. There's no beer here.
There's no beer. There's no people.
No fried shrimp or fish.
There's so many people who have talked about that fried shrimp.
Yeah,
I think
it's good stuff.
David Tribble, when he was on, was talking about that fried shrimp. And I don't have fried shrimp. I'm sorry, bud.
It's all good.
Man, let's talk about the couple of singles you've already gotten out. One of them, the music video's done really well. This one's gonna hurt, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it's done amazing.
Still rolling. Yeah, and it's got a few 100,000 streams on it currently. I haven't seen it in a minute, but yeah.
I love the fact. Tell me, who's the one who filmed that for you?
His name's Matt Woods.
Okay, give a shout out
out of
Matt.
Mineola, Texas. Yeah.
And Matt's in a band too, isn't he?
Yeah, it's called Element 80. It's a heavy metal band. They've been around for a long time
and very popular in the early 2000s.
Yes.
He shot
more
all
of the
that.
pop rock culture.
Yeah, totally. He shot all of that on an iPhone, correct?
iPhone 14.
That is just amazing.
Yeah.
I constantly tell clients that they have a 4K camera in their pocket or in their hand, and they should be doing more with it. People are like, I spend so much money. It costs too much money to get a music video, and I'm like,
right.
There's ways to make some really cool content. And you and Matt filming that out in that burned out building, really, really kind of puts that in perspective. Like it looks good. It's clean. You use the audio from the studio single, and it doesn't look like shit. Let's put it out there.
Matt's a hell of a producer, and Matt did his homework. I guess it was Steven Spielberg that did the movie using iPhone 6s or whatever they used. They filmed Soderbergh.
Yes.
So Soderbergh. So they filmed the whole movie using iPhone 6s. Well, Matt's taking that to the next step. He had the 12. Bought all the lenses and the filters for it, and then he moved up and upgraded to the 14 Pro.
Yeah, and
now he's got more available technology to that phone and that platform. Yeah. That, I mean, it's endless, and the editing. I think he had
still
that whole
works the same way.
Yeah, I mean, we shot from several locations, and we did the whole song all the way through from several locations so we could pull different things from it. And Matt's really great. Matt had that video ready for me in 2 days.
Man. Killer piece of content.
I'm not going to tell you what it cost because everybody would pass out and not pass out in a bad way. They'd pass out and like, oh my gosh, I need his number right now. He's going to be like overbooked and call me, but he's really great. And being that Matt's, he's an artist. I mean, he's in the music business.
Yeah, he
knows exactly what we're looking for. And he had good. He had something good to work with. So he had a fine specimen. So being that we had all those variables, it went pretty good.
Yeah. thought it looked great, and putting it out, it did really well.
Right.
In the first few days, you had several thousand streams.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And it just kept growing.
Yeah, and that was a song that we had a radio promoter on that one, and we got dropped after.
Yeah, not very far into the.
Yeah, we got dropped probably after 8 or 9 weeks, and it was on the charts, and it was climbing on the charts.
And that was before the video went out.
That was before the video went out, and so my radio promoter gave up on it, and I said, "Man, this song's not done." Mm-hmm. And so I called Matt Woods. I'd heard about him, called him up, and I said, "Hey, man, I want to shoot a full production video on a song that radio gave up on." And he said, "Radio gave up on it." I said, "Well, my radio promoters gave up on it." It's not that radio gave up on it. It said that radio doesn't have all of it. And so once we did that, we put out the video and we revived the whole thing. It was like starting over.
Even going further than whatever radio would have done. And in my opinion, give me a little bit of your opinion on radio and how little it really affects you at the moment.
Well, right now, I think we're getting most of our spins. Most of our spins are obviously coming from the digital platforms, but we're getting like with the latest single that we've had out, "Baby I Might." "Baby I Might's" been running since February, and I mean we are at number 25 in the nation on Apple right now. We were at
on the Texas
part, right? So
Texas,
we went from like 70 something when we started out. We debuted in the 70s with that song in February. And then we went all the way to number 7, and then we started slipping a little bit to 17, and then we've maintained 25. But I mean, we've been running that since February of this year.
Yep.
I mean, here we are. It's November.
Yeah.
And we're still running it. I mean, this one's going to hurt.
Apple likes it.
Yeah, this one's going to hurt. Still running right now, and so.
And you haven't even sent that to radio, have you?
No. I might. We didn't. Matter of fact, I think you sent it to radio for the first week.
Yeah.
But that was it. You just pitched it. So. That one we haven't sent to radio, and I mean that song is tearing it up. Like the dance halls, the digital platforms, which I know that's where a lot of the DJs in the dance halls are getting their music from nowadays anyway. But I mean, just people actually downloading the song, buying the song, all of that. I mean, that's where it's been. I mean, it's
true growth is gonna
right. And so I'm seeing that more than I'm seeing, terrestrial radio.
Waned.
I've heard this sermon. I don't know how many times. I've heard this sermon from you, Rick. Everybody that in this business I feel the same thing about internet radio too. Yeah. Who's listening to internet radio? Is it the people that are just accidentally catching my song, or are they going out and seeking that type of music? Mm-hmm. And it's hard to say, with internet radio, but I know that terrestrial radio has changed a lot.
Totally.
I mean, we're not seeing the numbers that we used to see, 5, 6 years ago, 10 years ago. I mean, 10 years ago, it controlled everything we did through TRRR and everything else. Totally. I mean, if you were not on radio, you were not on the chart.
Yeah.
If you were on internet radio, which there might have been a handful of stations here in this, that covered this region, man, that didn't matter. What was internet? Internet radio was like a hobby. And now it's become something. And so they're actually, the ones that are actually turning in the spin reports, that's great.
Yeah.
The ones that are not need to.
Yeah.
So.
We have seen quite a big shift with the streaming platforms. And I'm glad you mentioned Apple, because you did get picked up in the Don't Mess with Texas playlist on Apple. The editorial staff has always been really good to Smith Music. We pitch them every week, but not everybody gets in, but somebody does. You have been one of those guys that's got quite a bit of staying power in that.
Man, I've had some longevity with Apple.
And you didn't end up getting picked up on Spotify or any of the other ones, but you did get picked on Apple.
Well, we made the Spotify cover for the Weekly Radar.
Oh, well, that's an algorithmic based playlist, so that's great.
Yeah.
One of the things that I'm always harping on is not getting too myopic on Spotify. Too many people get really, really worried about getting in a Spotify playlist, but And I have to constantly reinforce that they're only a small portion of the business. I mean, they're a big player, but they're only 30% of the business. And the fact that you can get placed in other editorial playlists.
I mean, I've called you several times and been like, "Hey, DJ, my Spotify's gone down, man. What am I going to do? I'm freaking out, you know." But I would rather be with Apple and YouTube all day long.
Yeah.
And nothing against Spotify. I still want my viewers and everybody to go download my stuff on Spotify, please. But, you know, Apple, the quality of Apple and the way Apple runs their business is a lot more professional than the way Spotify does theirs.
They've been around for a while.
With all the fake spins and all that stuff that's going on with Spotify, you don't have that with Apple. Apple's organic.
Not as much, yeah.
And people are paying that $9.99 a month. They're not getting the free version of Apple. There's not a free version of Apple.
That's right.
So you have to pay for that subscription. So we're getting full organic audience there. We're getting real numbers. We're actually reaching people that really want that music, not people who are listening to our music because it happened to be thrown into a playlist.
Yeah.
And now they can't fast forward past me. And they're like, "Oh, this asshole again." You know, it's like I've already heard him like yesterday, and they like played his song 6 times. I don't want to hear it again. Now I can't fast forward past it. Yeah. People in Apple, it's their choice of what they want to listen to. Mm-hmm. And that's what I like about it. Same thing with Amazon. You know, they're choosing what they want to hear. Spotify is throwing it into an algorithmic based playlist, and the people don't have a choice.
Yeah.
So I would rather have people want to listen to it and it be their choice than it be stuck in an algorithmic base that they have no choice but to listen to it because it's stuck on that playlist.
That's funny you say that because I think Pandora is quite still algorithmic.
It is.
And it is based on that. You can only skip so many times before they're like, no, you can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
And that's based on certain regulations that copyright.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think people are skipping past mine. You know,
you don't think so?
No,
it's too good.
I don't think so, man. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to pass country gold, man. But you know, it's like, you know, there's a few guys out there that I love, and like some people don't.
Yeah.
You know, like some people say, "Oh, well, I can only listen to Paul Cawthon so many times." Well, I can listen to Paul Cawthon all day.
Yeah.
You know,
I was blown away. I was listening to KXT, and he popped up on KXT, the local NPR station. And,
well, Paul Cawthon's an East Texas boy. I mean,
he's expanding outside of that Americana Texas scene.
But he's still 903, and always will be.
I love it. He's getting into that AAA radio now, and that's
well, I mean, before you know it, I mean, he's going to have his own. Like just own level of broadcast radio. It's going to be Cawthon's world. I mean, Paul's already done so much outside of, you know, labels and everything else, and the way that he releases music and what he's doing. I mean, and the directing and the production and all that stuff. I mean, he's involved with all of it.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a guy who really has built himself and built what he's got.
For such a unique voice to pop up on KXT, I don't know if you're familiar with KXT's. They're not the Ranch, right? they're over there playing the Black Pumas and a lot more rock.
Yeah.
It's like Alabama Shake style stuff,
right.
You know, and seeing him pop up with that great. I mean, that's a country voice.
Man, he's alternative Texas country.
He is.
Like I don't know any other way of putting it. You know, you get your alternative country, and you've got your alternative. Like some of the guys that are alternative, right there riding the line of Americana, but alternative. But Paul Cawthon is definitely like alternative red dirt Texas country. I mean, he's pushing the envelope every single time he comes out with something.
Totally.
And I mean, this is where he belongs.
Do you feel like you might be go down that path, throwing a little bit of?
Man, you know, I think I'm too old now.
Get a little bit more experimental.
Like, you know, I still don't get me wrong. I mean, I still feel 25, but I mean, going back and recreating myself, I don't think I could do that. You know, Paul did it. Paul recreated himself, But Paul's still young. I mean, Paul's still got some,
Yeah, fairly.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, he's younger than me. So, but at 46 years old, it's not the time to go back and rebrand yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
I've been this person since '98 on stage.
You might have a pop bone in you.
Well, I mean, Garth Brooks did it,
To varying degrees of success, right?
Who knows? I mean, I might pull a Chris Gaines. I mean, you never know.
We're Chris Gaines apologists on this podcast. we enjoy it.
Midnight glow, all night liquor store. Buys a fifth if I don't give a damn, and nearly breaks the glass, slams the door, puts his fist in the dash. To hell with her, I've had enough. Drives around all night, winds up in the place I fell in love. Somebody's lying, somebody's crying, somebody's gone too far, just don't know. Laying there with her heart broken, wandering, hating and loving him, knowing it's all just gonna end, 'cause nobody's trying, and good love is dying. She turns the TV off, she walks down the hall, turns on the light, checks her phone. He still ain't called, so she locks the door. Said he ain't coming home, it's over. And she'd give anything for him to walk through that door and hold her. Somebody's lying, somebody's crying, somebody's gone too far and just don't know. Laying there with her heart broken, wandering, hating and loving him, knowing it's all just gonna end, 'cause nobody's trying, and good love is dying. Midnight glow, all night liquor store. Buys a fifth if I don't give a damn, and nearly breaks a glass, slams the door.
Nashville tends to not see the forest through the trees,
right?
And that's frustrating, because it's an industry town. Everybody's in the industry, and when it's cool, you're getting all this press and buzz, but
right.
That's not on the ground floor. That's not here in mainstream USA on Exchange in Fort Worth.
And we're all seeds, and you see that in the Nashville market so much. We're all just seeds, and they sow us out there, but only a few of us get fertilized, and only a few of us are catching water.
Yeah,
and only a few of us are going to grow. And the rest of them are forgotten about, just become stagnant. And, this market, it's funny with me because I always start out, we're good here in Texas for a few weeks. And then next thing you know, everything's going national. And I get pulled out of the Texas regional stuff here. I mean, and don't get me wrong, I like the fact that it does go national. As a matter of fact, when we released, the last one we released, we only released for Texas. It went national. And it went national within a few weeks.
Yeah.
And I mean, all the national charts and radio stations and the internet radio stations and all the digital platforms, outside of our region, they picked it up so fast that I don't even think it made it all the way through Texas before it ever made it through all the other states.
Yeah, they tend to be a little bit more agnostic on what they're playing.
Right.
So down here in Texas, it gets to be very. You got to pass the test. Are you really Texas or not? And they'll let.
Sure.
They won't play a lot of things because it's not fitting into a mold of what they think is Texas music, which I think is bullshit, especially with your music, which is very Texas. It is very Texas. Yeah. It is. It could stand up there with the Josh Wards and the Randall Kings. It passes that test. It is in that realm, but I don't know. There's still this very. They don't want to play it. They don't. Not you particular.
Right. There's other guys. Yeah. There's other guys too.
There's a lot of content that is Texan.
Yeah.
But they're not playing it for whatever reason.
Right.
And I'm you see the Pat Greens and the Corey Morrows and they're the ones still getting.
We're talking about the guys that actually got me started in this business. And it's.
There's nothing wrong with those guys. It's great that they still get
those spins,
but it seems like
it's very great.
There's not a lot of leeway for the new acts to come in,
right?
And it's causing them, a lot of the newer acts, to just turn away from it. Like I've got guys that are coming up brand new, and they don't have any interest in the radio side. They don't want to go and talk to radio radio program directors. They don't want to pay promoters. They want to be on Spotify playlist, right? And they want to be on Apple playlist, and which I hate. I hate to hear that. Not in the fact that I could give two shits whether they succeed or not, the radio side, but they are an institution. We something was built up, and it's starting to atrophy. Because they're not giving the new guys any chance at all. And I don't know. You didn't go to the Texas Country Music Association a conference. I think it was in July or August.
No, I mean I would have gone with the Steel Records guys, but they were there, and no, I didn't.
No, Steel wasn't. They went to the award show. In
November. Yes.
But
you're talking about
TCMA put on a conference,
right?
And
Dusty and Jake were there, I think, playing.
Yes. There was a lot of radio there, and a lot of radio wanted to thump their chest and say, we are still relevant. And in that setting, it felt like you're trying to convince yourself here that you're relevant.
Right, but you and I've had these conversations about advertisement bucks. The radio stations cannot run without advertising bucks.
Totally.
And we know that those advertising bucks are now switching ways, and they're going towards Spotify. They're going towards YouTube.
Yep.
They're not going to terrestrial radio anymore. They're going to the streaming platforms that people are on.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if it's a music video or if it's a guy shoving a light bulb up his ass or whatever he's doing. People are going to go watch that video, and the more people that watch it, that's where the advertisement bucks are going to go, because the companies, they are paying for that. And man, when you got 1 million views, that's potential clients, that's potential customers for them.
Totally.
Terrestrial radio, people aren't riding down the road listening to that. They're listening to what's on their playlist on their phone.
Yeah.
That's just the way it's gone nowadays. So the advertisement bucks are really a big deal with terrestrial radio that I see.
Yeah.
Because these radio stations, they're putting on more larger events now, concert events, to raise the money that they're not getting from the advertisement bucks anymore.
I've seen that as well, and I've seen some losing their butts on it too, because they expect it's going to be a big deal.
Sure.
And not a lot of people are going out as much as they used to. And then obviously we're not going to solve any of that shit here, but I'd like to see more guys coming up get a chance.
Right.
And one of the big things that I kept hearing, and I was blown away, and the perspective of radio is that if I give you a chance on that first song you're sending out, and I've never heard of you, you might not be there again.
Right.
But then there's a chicken and egg scenario where if you don't play that person, they're going to feel like they failed and they don't go and try the second time. Now, an artist will need to, like, they need to be always thinking about the next song, and there's a whole conversation about that's been going on the last couple of weeks, especially with that Gretchen Peters quote, like, we're not content creators, we're art makers, and fuck that shit. I'm going to tell you straight up, you are all small business owners, and if you have that mentality that I'm just an art creator, you're going to fail.
Absolutely. I mean, you might as well just be giving it away on the street corner.
Totally. Yeah.
I mean,
but on top of that, though, you got to keep pushing forward, and that's what one thing I'm glad about is you are one of those guys that I might have to call you every once in a while and tell you, hey man, it's time to do another one.
And it happens. You know, we kind of get lost in the fact that, well, this song's been running since February, it's still doing good, DJ, numbers look great, man, we're going to hold on to these other songs, you know. And so I'm thinking, but now the mentality's changed. I'm thinking, man, I want 3 or 4 doing the same thing at the same time.
Yeah.
I don't, and you know, you get trapped in this box. You get comfortable to where, you know, well, this song's been running the charts 58 weeks. Man, we're doing great.
Yeah.
And then we go over and release another song, and it's running all this time. They run their course, but you know, with the fact that digital platforms send it out worldwide. Mm-hmm. That's where we're seeing it. There's a false sense of reality that people don't understand that I have now understood, because if I've got 152,000 spins on a certain song in the United States, and then I keep going down that list, and then it's like 98,000, you know, in the UK, and then we keep going, all of those different countries, the reason that some of those numbers are low, you go look at them the next month, and in that country that was 8,000 the month before, this next month, it's like 20-something thousand. They're just now getting it. It's that trickle effect that I'm telling you about. It's a false sense of reality of how your music is actually doing.
Yeah.
Your music, if it was that great, and if that song was doing that well, then it would do that well in the first few months. But it takes time to get that out there with that trickle-down effect. And so
word of mouth. Almost.
Right. And so that's why, you know, I get comfortable with sitting there and looking at numbers. And so I look at the numbers, and I see them increase. And so I'm thinking, well, I'm just going to sit back. I'm just going to chill, relax on this one for a little bit, you know, and might release some acoustic content in between. And then we'll hit the next major one, you know. And so I think that's where that false sense of reality comes from, is the fact that you're talking about worldwide. We're not talking about, you know, like a region of Texas and national. We're not looking at it from that level. We're looking at it from a worldwide level.
Yeah.
Because that's the way it's gone.
That's an interesting thought you brought up, because it does spread.
But it trickles. It doesn't spread like wildfire. It trickles.
It's like a virus. Like, that's why we call it going viral. And sometimes those viruses don't always run the course like wildfire. It takes a little time to get from one place to the next.
Yeah.
and that's okay. That's okay. But I see it as a drop. Everyone's like a drop in a water in a pond, and that ripple effect. And you don't. Once it hits out to the edges, you got to be hitting another one.
Sure.
Right. And you've got so much equity in the songs you've written that there's no one definitive version that's going to be the hit. Right.
Right.
You can always just go and re-record it over and over again. And we're seeing it. We're seeing it with all, like Taylor Swift. She's tearing it up right now, re-recording all of her content for other reasons. But, there's you still got to be in that mindset that you are a small business and you can't just create one piece of content and write it for the rest of your life.
Sure.
And it's just impossible.
I mean, there's a few one-hit wonders that are still collecting money, you know what I mean? Six strings, feeling kind of tipsy, bonfire and a bottle of whiskey. Man, we're burning it down tonight. Dust clouds were calling my name, son. Red dirt is where I came from. Backed up here under the pines. It almost makes me wanna write a song. 'Cause right here it ain't right, wrong. This old hat still smells like Saturday, same one that I'm wearing on Sunday. Man, it makes my granny mad. Fried chicken and a glass of sweet tea. Friends and family are right here with me. Drink a beer for my granddad. These are the best times we ever had. I remember that 50-yard line, me and Becky and a bottle of cheap wine. The guy got down on one knee. Never thought to say goodbye. Hurt me more when I saw my mama cry. But the smile on my face says I'll be alright. It almost made me wanna write a song. 'Cause right here it ain't right, wrong. This old hat still smells like Saturday, same one that I'm wearing on Sunday. And man, it makes my granny mad. Fried chicken and a glass of sweet tea. Friends and family are right here with me. Drink a beer for my granddad. 'Cause these are the best times we ever had. Yeah, yeah. Drink a beer for my granddad. 'Cause these are the best times that we ever had. While I was sitting at the studio yesterday. I was recording some stuff yesterday, and I was sitting there and I was watching something. It might have even been on YouTube, but you know, the most famous rock and roll song ever recorded has no words to it.
Oh yeah,
it was done on 3 steel guitars.
Huh?
That's that, and it was done back in the 50s. You know what I'm talking about?
Right. Oh yeah. I do know what you're talking about.
That's the most famous They said that's the most
Hawaiian.
famous rock and roll song that's ever been released. It has no words to it, and it has more downloads, streams, sales than anything else out there.
I believe it. Yeah.
And it has no words to it.
Yeah. The Wipeout.
It's the most well-known rock and roll song ever. It was done in the 50s.
Yeah. And if you think Wipeout was
during that whole surfer revolution thing. Yeah. You know, and I'm reading this and I'm like, is that even possible? Like, and I haven't gone back and looked up the actual facts, but this is what was being said, and I was thinking about it. I was like, man, that has been used so many times. The song, like, everybody knows that. When they hear that, they know exactly what that is. Yeah. So maybe it is. I don't know. But, I was really shocked that, you're talking about that, but we're talking about something from the 50s that's still today being downloaded on digital platforms.
Yeah, and streamed and making a bunch of money.
I mean, we went from tape to vinyl to plastic, CD to digital. Yeah. And this song has withstood all these years. It's only one song. It's one hit. It's one guy did it. Done deal. He played for another band. I mean, honestly, I don't know what the band was that he played for. They were talking about it. I just remember the key things of the most famous rock and roll song ever released. No words to it. This, that, and the other. I'm just thinking.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I Wipeout's the same way. That was a B-side. That band went into the studio and they recorded a song, and then they were like, hey, we're going to put out a 7-inch. Right. You want to record something for the B-side? And they're like, well, whatever. I
thought there was some words in that one where they said Wipeout.
Yeah, they do say Wipeout. Yeah. I guess they do. That does have words, but it's not much. Yeah, but and that became the hit for them. Yeah. The B-side. That was like throwaway content. You never know what's going to make you famous.
Well, yeah.
That whole era, the whole history of recorded music making money has been very short. We haven't had it very long. It's not an old industry like farming.
Right.
So people have been trying to figure out how to make money off of it for a long time, for a very short period of time.
I mean, that's like, you start talking about pre-Soggy Bottom Boys stuff, and like, if it really went down that way, boy, there's no telling where music would be nowadays.
Totally. We're still pretty much locked into the technology. Yeah. So we're going to make money based on the technology, and every advancement's going to have disruption, and the only thing that's going to really make you money is a good song.
Well, I mean, we both know that radio used to control recording, because Chad Malden's studio that he has there in Gladewater was a radio station, and they have a full recording studio in there, and so the radio stations would bring the artist in, the artist would record albums there. The radio station was covering the cost through advertising and stuff like that. And this stuff was getting released, and the radio stations have exclusive rights of spinning this music
that's how
before anybody else does. And that was the whole reason to doing it. We're the first ones to have it. So therefore, we're going to be on top of the game. Mm-hmm. We've got something nobody else has got.
Yeah,
I got Jerry Lee Lewis in my studio today, you know what I mean? And he's fixing to cut these 3 songs right here in my studio, and we're going to cover the costs of it.
Yeah.
And we're going to be the exclusive distributor of this music. So they're going to have to come to me if they want it. Mm-hmm. And that's the way it used to work. I mean, they would monopolize recording through having the artists come into the radio stations.
Yeah. And that's how evolved our music industry as it is today. I love the whole history. When not enough people start thinking about it that way.
But you have to know where it comes from to understand where it is.
Most musicians I deal with, they're kind of locked into this biopic. I say it all the time, biopic running in their head. like it's still the 70s and 80s. And
oh, where's my check, dude?
Yeah, where's my check? I'm going to get signed to a major label, and then I'm good to go for the rest of my life.
Well, I'm sorry, we're 90 days behind.
Yeah.
Oh, so in 90 days, I'm going to get a check. No, in 180 days, you're going to get a check from that other 90 days, and then in 270 days, you're going to get a check from that other 180 days, and that's just the way it's going to be. And they're like,
let's start counting.
So I don't have a check, bro? I mean, it's like, come on, man.
Yeah,
no, I get I mean, I totally understand it now. I mean, things have changed a lot.
Yeah,
I mean, you used to get checked monthly.
Yep. Yeah. It's still sometimes you do. It's just
we can't get paid till the advertisers pay all their money.
Who are you listening to right now?
Oh man, that's tough. Honestly, I mean, Giovanni, of course. Man, Gio's always going to be one of those. I mean, some of the newer stuff. I mean, you know, me and Co used to play together. We're both 903 boys. Chris Colston's dropping some really good stuff. He's another one that one of my old song swap partners. Always Josh. Josh is always on my list. You know, but I'm very, I have a wide range of stuff that I listen to because I'll revert back. I mean, I'm Five Finger Death Punch all the way. You know what I mean?
You a metal guy?
Absolutely. I love listening to, you know, Five Finger Death Punch. I mean, Metallica. I mean, I listen to a lot of that stuff still. And I mean, I write country music and I sing country music for a living. So it's like riding down the road, it does get a little monotonous. And that's why I like the versatility of Gio and what he's doing.
You ever get the feeling like you might need to pull some of that into your music?
Well, I've written those songs, but if I go and do it, they're not going to take that seriously. So I've got some rock bands that I work with, you know, from the East Texas area and beyond, and I've got some stuff that we could probably drop to Gio, see if he wants it. I mean, you know, it's just you know, song pitching those songs are a little different, but I do write that. I write that music, and that's stuff that I've always done. But yes, I write mostly country because I have to come up with my content, and I know that I'm not going to include that content into me. That'd be rebranding my whole my.
You don't want to go Chris Gaines, do you?
No. Well, I mean, you know, look, we did think about putting out an alternative Texas country album, something similar to what Gio's doing. We did talk about it. I mean, we have the songs written already. We have the music down. But I just don't know if I'm ready to jump out there and do that. I mean, I talked to you about it, releasing multi-genre music. Of course, I don't think we'll pass this Tejano punk, but I think we might pass this Texas punk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but he's definitely created a genre of his own that is very very accepted everywhere. I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
I mean, you can be a metalhead, you can be a hardcore country guy, you can be into pop, whatever it is. Gio's music has it all in it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not going to sit here and talk about Gio the whole time. I'm just saying, like, that's one of the reasons why, I mean, you know, I can listen to Gio's music and it doesn't matter what comes up. I can just hit the first song and just let it play all the way through, and it doesn't bother me on these trips, you know, when we're on the road.
Yeah.
It doesn't bother me at all. Parker McCollum's another one. I mean, I'll listen to Parker.
Yeah.
You know, I also revert back to, you know, some of the old stuff. I mean, you know, I have to have my daily dose of Shaver. You know, being Billy's one of my mentors, I got to have my daily dose of Shaver. But you know, we were sitting out here on the porch before you got here, listening to Miranda Lambert sing "Old Chunk of Coal."
Oh man.
Which I know we can't talk about this situation, but you know, and I was sitting there and I was explaining, you know, "Old Chunk of Coal" is like that's one of Shaver's most famous hits.
Yeah,
you know, and for everybody to everybody listens to that song, and you know, if they never knew that came off of a tribute album, they would just think, you know, oh man, that's a great song Miranda did. You know, if they don't know the history of behind Old Chunk of Coal.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about these tribute albums. But like I say, you know, listening to Shaver, My Daily Dose of Shaver, it's not going to be, no offense, Miranda, but it's not going to be like Miranda Lambert's version. It's, you know, I'll listen to some Chris Christopherson versions of Shaver stuff. I'll listen to Shaver do it, and I'll listen to Willie. I still will listen to Willie doing you know, Shaver stuff. I mean, it's there's a lot of guys that Billy ran with that recorded his music, and I mean, Honky Tonk Heroes, the whole album. I mean, I could sit there and listen to the whole album. You know, Waylon doing Honky Tonk Heroes is just hearing his version and hearing Billy's version of the songs. You know, it's night and day. But I can still listen like I could listen to them back to back. I could hear Shaver sing it, and then I could hear Waylon do it, and it wouldn't affect me either way because it's done differently.
Out of that, New West is the one who put out the Billy Joe Shaver tribute album.
Right.
They
Willie's nephew
produced it, I believe, and Willie won a Grammy for his version of which one was it that he won for? It was God, I can't even remember which song it would be. He won a Grammy for best single. Out of all that stuff, who do you think did the most justice?
If you want to be honest with you, I haven't listened to it. There was
with that.
We
I've been really digging the Nathaniel Rateliff covered one of his songs,
right?
And he's a roots rock guy, so
Sure.
It's a lot of drums. It's a rock and roll piece, but man, he did pretty well.
You know, and people say, you and Billy Joe were friends, you know, and even today, if I was to call up Jeremy Lynn Woodall, one of my other good buddies who played lead guitar for Billy for a long time, only surviving member of the band. If I was to call Jeremy right now and say, hey man, what's your favorite song off of that New West Shaver tribute? He couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
And it's nothing against New West, and it's nothing against the artist. It's just that, you know, for me, Shaver is Shaver.
Yeah.
And, you know, Jeremy's sitting on a gold mine with some Shaver stuff right now. And it's like we've talked about some projects that we want to do about with Billy's stuff. And it's really hard to go back and listen to certain tribute albums, you know, because of you know, it gets really political on this particular side of it.
Yeah.
And, you know, we being, you know, Jeremy was so close to Billy that's where the band name Surrogate Son came from. Because when Eddie
Jeremy's
was gone,
band, Surrogate Son,
yeah, I mean, everybody used to give him a hard time and call him Billy's surrogate son, you know, and so Jeremy Lynn Woodall started a band, you know, after Billy was gone, tribute band for Billy called Surrogate Son. And that's who I performed with when we did the Waco Billy Joe Shaver tribute concert over at the Backyard, Waco. Yeah. But it's, you know, Shaver. And for somebody like Jeremy to do it, a guy who stood next to him on stage every single night for 17 years, you know, and got fired 6 or 7, which I think he fired Billy. I think he told me he fired Billy like 3 or 4 times. But you know, they stood together on stage next to each other. Yeah, I mean, you know, he's gonna get fired.
He
get fired that night. He's like, get the fuck off my out of my van. You not stay. Get your own goddamn hotel. You know, type stuff. And then the next day, call him. Where the fuck you at? You know, he's like, I thought I was fired. He said, well, who the fuck's gonna play guitar tonight? Get your ass over here.
Oh man.
You know, type stuff. And you know, that's just the relationships, you know, and that's the stories that you hear, and that's just the kind of guy I was. He was human. He was like real human. He wasn't superstar human. He was real human.
Yeah.
He was a real guy. I mean, it's there's a whole different play between what we call Hollywood smoking lights and the real deal.
Yeah, and he was.
He was the real deal. He wasn't Hollywood smoking lights.
Yeah. And people who are listening in on this podcast at this moment, they really need to go and pick up his memoirs, because I think that it's like...
Man, I own Billy's copy of Honky Tonk Hero.
Yeah, you said that he gave it to you.
Yeah, he gave me his own personal copy.
I found it at a used bookstore, and I tore through it, and I'm still... He is the Red Dirt Hemingway. Like, he can put more into one sentence than most people put in a whole novel.
Yeah, I mean, Billy could say 2 words to you that could make you think about that for a lifetime.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, one of the things that always rang out was, when I got stuck in a hotel in the worst part of Waco, and Jeremy Lynn Woodall said, "You're where?" When I called him, because Billy was, I don't know where he was at, but I could get out and call Jeremy. Jeremy says, "You're where?" Man, that's the worst place in Waco you could be. And I said, "That's where Billy sent me. Free room." He goes, And then finally, Billy called back. We finally talked to Billy, and Billy goes, "Doing the best I can, kid."
Yeah.
And, that was something that always stuck with me. When he said, "I'm doing the best I can, kid," that always stuck with me.
Yeah.
Because no matter what it was, he was going to make it happen. It may not have been what you expected, may not have been what you wanted, but it's what you needed. And he was that type of guy. He was going to get you what you needed no matter what. He would do anything he had to do. And, that was a phrase that always sticks out with me is, "I'm doing the best I can, kid." You walked in looking good with those cut-offs on. You threw a smile like it was nothing even going on. Honey, see that look in your eyes, and it's just a thin disguise. It's someone's not doing you right. Baby, I might. We can take a 2-step across that floor. Honey, who knows, there might be something more. Baby, just a glass of wine and we can just pass the time. Maybe just a little bit of corner booth, it might help you see the truth. 'Cause he's not loving you right. Baby, I might. Band is playing a bunch of sad songs. Every one of them is singing along. Baby, there's no sense sitting at home crying about a love that's already gone. So just give me a chance at a little romance, and I might change your mind. 'Cause he's not loving you right. Baby, I might. We can take a 2-step across that floor. Honey, who knows, there might be something more. Baby, just a glass of wine and we can just pass the time. Maybe just a little bit of corner booth, it might help you see the truth. 'Cause he's not loving you right. Baby, I might. We can take a 2-step across that floor. Well, honey, who knows, there might be something more. Baby, just a glass of wine and we can just pass the time. Maybe just a little bit of corner booth, it might help you see the truth. 'cause he's not loving you right. Baby, I might. Baby, I might.
Man, we've been talking for a while now. We have not discussed any of your upcoming stuff.
So, yeah, we have not.
You went into the studio yesterday.
Yeah.
When this podcast goes out, it'll be a few more days. But tell us, what do you got in the pipeline? What's coming?
Man, we've got a song that I wrote about the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo when we got shut down at COVID, We've done that song live, and it's gone over really well at the shows, and so we decided to go to the studio. We cut that song. That'll be coming out right around the same time as Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. Excellent. We'll probably hopefully be releasing that a couple of weeks before the rodeo.
I like that.
I've got Live from Studio B, which is raw and unplugged.
Okay.
I decided to go in and do an EP of raw, live, acoustic, just me and my guitar, no effects. There's no way to mix it. I used 4 condenser mics in a room so that they couldn't mix it. We've got so much bleed through on the microphones. There's no way to do it. I want it to be raw. I want my fans to get me. Period. I don't want the pitch correct. I don't want all the effects. I don't want any of it. We didn't do any of it. No, there's no studio magic on it. We got 4 condenser mics in a room, and I sat there and I'm singing my songs, and we're going to do an EP, and it's live from Studio B, raw and unplugged. I did not plug that guitar in.
Awesome.
It is all microphone captured.
I like it. Any is it all new stuff, or is it something you've already released?
We have one cover song on there right now, which I'm not going to tell you what it is, but we've got a cover song on there.
Keep your secrets.
Yeah, and I've got a song. Obviously there's some Matt Mason stuff, Matt Mason magic working in there too. For which hopefully he and I are fixing to start writing a full album together. Awesome. But yes, there's new music on there.
Oh man, I'm looking forward to it. I am. I'll probably get it before most people get it. So.
Well, I hope you get it before everybody else gets it.
I will be the one distributing it.
Because I'd be with another distribution company if you did not.
Well, thanks, man. Thanks for coming on and talking.
Yeah.
And we'll definitely be putting links in our description of the body of this podcast, and definitely go out and follow us on Texas Tailgate. Make sure you get every episode. It's Jeremy Peyton with us today. Jeremy, where can people find you out on the internet? Might as well just let everybody know.
Go to Google, type my name in, and it's going to pop up somewhere. And I'm not being cocky about it. I mean, we've gotten fortunately, I mean, we're on every streaming platform that you can go to. You can find out all about my life and things that you might not even want to know about Jeremy Peyton is on the internet. You can find me on onlydads.com.
Yep.
No, I'm just
dads kidding. Need love too. Dads need love too.
But no, I mean, you can find us. I mean, on all your streaming platforms, we're there. Videos are on all the platforms too. Podcasts like this one, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify.
Man, thank you again.
Thanks for having me, man. As always.